Hey, it's Mike. I am back, and I'm ready to do some more Hare Krishna stuff and give some updates and watch some videos and check out this someone that I think is very dangerous, someone who's very does a lot of damage and needs to be exposed. And we're gonna look at that. We're gonna look at that person. And so what do we got? We got Hayden Erickson. Hey, how you doing? Great to see you here. And fake human, of course. Yep, absolutely. So let's get right to it. Let's start with this with the opening. Here we go.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, okay. Thanks for sticking it out. What do we got? We got chasing after that kiwi, man. That's yeah. All right. So, I always like to start the show for. I know this is a great place for all of us ex-devotees to come and share and learn and community, whatever for the ex-devotees. It's great, and I love it. But it's also for Dahlia. How you doing? It's also, as you know, to help others, make awareness, raise awareness for others, and also help others who are in, and maybe they're trying to leave or they're thinking about what they're doing in there, and and they don't find anything on the internet that is helpful to them for whatever reason. I don't know. Or they're looking for something that's current, that's now. So for people out there who are in the cult and you're looking around, or you know someone who's in a cult, your friend just joined, or they're hanging out and they're trying to get you to go, or you got a book, this is for you too. This is mainly for you. And here you're going to meet other devotees like me that have experienced trauma or whatever they experienced in the cult, and then they can share, and they can give community and advice and just their stories. So you can see that I'm not just some some old guy yelling at the clouds about Hare Krishna. And I like to do these as often as possible because I'm not a big creator. I don't have a big audience or anything. My videos are not going out to a lot of people. So in order to try to compensate for that, I try to do something all the time, just about every day or every other day. Maybe I take some days off, but I try to do something regularly just so that, to raise awareness, because I'm not some big giant creator or cult expert. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody cares who nobody cares who I am. But although I am an expert in Hare Krishna and in recognizing cults and cultic behavior, and I like to start my show with someone who is a cult expert, unlike me. I'm a Hare Krishna expert. This is a cult expert. And Knitting Cult Lady is great. So I like to start the show with her. And here she is. And she's going to be explaining a little bit. I thought this would be a good one to open the show with here. Let's see.
Okay, I'm going to answer this question in a different way now, which is to say that cults are not their own category of thing. I see everything in terms of groups. And that's because almost everything we do as humans is done in terms of groups. And one of the things I think people misunderstand about cults is that they're not their own thing. They're just here on the spectrum of most extreme group, up here with gangs, armies, in my opinion, and terrorist organizations and cults, right? So every group can be compared to another group. So in this case, yes, it is my job, as defined for myself, to compare any group that I'm interested in comparing to cults. And I see those patterns very, very clearly. But it's not this, like, it always gets put as this negative thing of like seeing everything as cults. No, I'm a sociologist and an organizational psychologist and a scholar of groups. I look at groups for signs of cultiness. And yes, you can compare any group to a cult, and you can compare any leader to a cult leader, and they're not harmed by the comparison, because if they don't compare, they come out very clean. If it's valid, it stands up to scrutiny. The exception to this is when the government uses the word cult to try to demonize and usually go after and kill people in an organization, as we saw with the Branch Davidians and as we saw with the Move bombing in Philadelphia, which most white Americans don't even know about. So yeah, individual and expert comparing everything to a cult, not a bad thing, even though it bothers people. And it's not cults, it's groups.
Okay. So, yeah. So, being a cult expert and understanding cult behavior and recognizing cultic behavior is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing for me to be on here and ranting and raving about all the harm and destruction and evil and sinister things that the Hare Krishnas do. And although that may sound extreme, well, someone's got to say it. And this stuff is going on. Just like what we're seeing in the news with all this stuff that's coming out now. This stuff, this pedophilia, underage girls, and making excuses for it, and trying to say, well, hey, whatever. It's not exclusive. A lot of people doing this stuff. And this cult is doing it. And it's in their books. This stuff that's on the news, this human trafficking and young girls, underage girls with powerful men, the stuff is coming out. We've already known about it. What about Hare Krishna? They promote young girls with grown men. Child marriage, they promote child marriage. When their gurus molest these girls and boys and whatever, they end up in Juhu Beach or in Mayapur in a guest house, being worshipped like friggin' God. Isn't that insane? This Rameshwar guy they treating him like he's something like he's a holy man. He's a grown man dating an underage girl. He got caught doing it. And to excuse this type of shit, you got to be in a cult. Your guru is caught with young boys doing all kinds of shit. And you're still following him and worshiping him like he's some holy man. Talking about, hey, we were all having a good time. I didn't know what was happening. This is the biggest bullshit story I ever heard. It's fucking disgusting. You got to sit there and go, yeah, I didn't know what was going on, and I feel fucking like shit. And people were getting murdered, and kids were getting molested, and I'm running around going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You don't sit there and go, hey, I was having a good time. I'm sorry some little kids somewhere got harmed. Not even addressing the facts, man. They shit in their books. I've done so many things about their books. I'm gonna do so many more. Hey, it's Liam. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. It's disgusting. I don't. It's friggin'. It's insane and disgusting. It's like crazy mental illness and pedophilia and God, brainwash and Stockholm syndrome. Not being able to leave. And look, I was in it for 20 years. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not like I was immune. Like I was in it. You know, at just about every cult expert. I saw your last class, Jadharani's disciple, single mother, now jobless, asking for donations. I know, that's a whole. Hey, Jenna Morton, how you doing? Great to see you here. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're here. Um, it is. We have to make up. It's beyond retards or us mental. I mean, it is, but it's like there's got to be another category for these people. There's got to be another word in psychology, in psychopathy or whatever you call it, in sociopathic behavior. There's another word for this. Insane beliefs about demon heads eating moons and demons getting in the grave. I mean, don't even get me started about ecodicy and snakes going on hill if you don't worry. I mean, the insanity and you can't just think it's an analogy or those are just stories. This is real shit to them. And pedophilia and child marriage and scamming the public and thinking you're above the law and selling your trailer and moving and then going online asking for donations because now and thinking that's normal. There are people on GoFundMe who actually need chemotherapy or they need something, right? And they're desperate, they're trying to stay alive. They're like, this lady packed up her shit and moved her trailer to something and spent all this money so she could be next to Jadharani. It'll be the best thing for my son. Well, it's not the best thing for your son if you're broke and asking online strangers to give you $10,000 so you can live. I mean, what kind of friggin', that's what's best for your son? To put your son at the mercy of a GoFund account? Talk about you don't give a shit about your kids. You had to be next to Jadharani that bad that you're gonna move your moldy ass trailer across the state or wherever so you can be next to this lady for your son? Meanwhile, you're going to create a GoFund account with her blessing, of course, so you can friggin' put food in your kids' mouth. You ain't gotta quit your job. That's what I'm saying, man. Does that sound friggin' normal? Does that not sound like something a holy man would? I mean, come on, this is a holy man? A holy woman? She thinks she's a holy man. She thinks she's a holy woman. Because she was a Prabhupada disciple. And then she became a Narayan Maharaj disciple. So, she is special. She believes she's special. I don't know what the fuck delusion she's under. Look what Jadharani taught her disciple. Just move your trailer, pay $6. This is freaking insanity. And you're broke now? Well, go online and make a GoFund account. And maybe you can sucker some people in like we do on the street. We can just do that online now. We don't even have to go out and scam people face to face. We can just make a GoFundMe account. people donating to her. Like, you don't have anything better to donate? You're going to donate to this? You're going to enable this shit? Enable this? So she can do it again when she wants to move somewhere else and do it again when she, whatever. Like, I'll just make a GoFundMe account, you know, with Shamarani Aditi's blessings, of course. Let me make sure I put that in there. Man, I'm ranting already, and I haven't even got. They're holy people who are nothing but cosplaying, but they are not. I know. This shit's got to be exposed, man. She's ruining people's lives, like you're saying, ruining people's lives, man. People lose sense of reality when they join the cult. They think joining an ashram is the end all be all. She thinks being next to this Shamarani is like gonna make her life and her kid. What if Shamarani, heaven forbid, I'm not saying anything happened to her, but whatever, something happens to her. And now she's moved her trailer, went in debt, $10,000, whatever, and Shamarani's gone. Then what is she gonna do? She's gonna find a new Shamarani to go puppy dog with? Then you go cosplay with some other Jodharani, also known as Shamarani, is ruining people's lives. That's what I'm saying. They all are. I was ruining people's lives. I was handing out books. I had books in my house. I had a bunch of. We had Prabhupada's original books, original Bhagavad Gitas, and all these original books, because we were Ritviks and we had the original shit, the good shit, the good rice. We didn't have Jayadvaita's Bhagavad Gita with all the changed wording and changed purports and all that stuff. Whether it doesn't really matter, because who cares, right? But I'm just saying that as these good Ritvik people, we had all the good shit. We had the good stash. And I was delivering. I was going out. I built my own little Rath Yatra cart book stand that I could push out to somewhere where there was people. And it was like a little Rath Yatra cart, and I had all these books on it, and I had I was all into that. I was like tinkering, you know, I was tinkering and creating stuff because I saw Ratnabhushana doing it. And I was like, I can do that. He built this I can build a little cart. I mean, I couldn't build a great big cart like he did. I built a little cart. But I was out distributing books and preaching to people and doing my little thing. Not that I, you know, who knows what damage I did. And I feel bad for doing it. I feel horrible. Hey, Howard Johnson, man, good to see you here, man. I'm glad everybody's here, man. This is really cool. So here's another one I wanted to show, and then we're going to get into. I'm going to do a deep dive into this pod guy, but I wanted to show this real quick because I like this too. And again, I'm not trying to turn anybody into an atheist or anything. I'm really not. I'm really not. I just want you to get your life together, okay? I just want you to get your life together and get out of this cult that you're in. So if you can just kind of make this apply to cults, and you know you'll get something out of it. Okay, you'll get something out. You'll get something out of it.
There is no totalitarian solution to this problem. There is no big brother in the sky. It is a horrible idea that there is somebody who owns us, who makes us, who supervises us, waking and sleeping, who knows our thoughts, who can convict us of thought crime, who can do thought crime just for what we think, who can create us sick, as apparently we are, and then order us on pain of eternal torture to be well again. To demand this, to wish this to be true, is to wish to live as an abject slave. It is a wonderful thing. It is a wonderful thing, in my submission, that we now have enough information, enough intelligence, and I hope enough intellectual and moral courage to say that this ghastly proposition is founded on a lie, and to celebrate that fact. There is no totalitarian solution to this problem.
So again, I'm not trying to discount any religion that you may have belonged to before you join this cult. What I'm saying is this cult is based on these lies. It's based on lies. First of all, believing in God, that's up to you. I'm not here to tell you there's no God. We're adults here. We are adults. At least I think we're adults here. But we don't need this. We don't need this cult that's based on lies, ancient tradition, ancient scriptures, ancient this, Vedic scholar that, disciplic succession, some scamperdia that never existed. All of these mythological stories that may have some, beauty in the world. They're a part of humanity's and civilization. We're not just. I'm not saying that they just throw them in the trash heap. What I'm saying is that this is just part of our world experience of planet Earth, that we have these stories in Sanskrit and stories in whatever languages, and we have pyramids, and we have cave paintings, and we have ancient ruins and things, and literature, and Plato and Socrates. And they just fall into that. They just falls into that. And we should just look at them as that. Not fall into a cult that's based on lies that tries to interpret these things into something that they're not. That's going to go ahead and try to tell you that they're solving your problems and giving you the chant and be happy when you're really nothing but just miserable and frustrated and confused and in a world of doubt. While you're masquerading and cosplaying as some 15th century Bengali holy man, transgendered, homosexual, who knows what, hanging around with child molesters and who knows what these people, even if any of that actually happened, I'm not convinced. So I'm not even going to get into the good rice and Ramananda Roy. And let me just tell you, if there never was a Ramananda Roy or a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that story is friggin' weird to create that. And whether it's true or not, it's friggin' weird, okay? It's just weird. She doesn't even have money to pay her own rent, this Jadharani. Now look, to get back to that, I think that's why the trailer was moved, was so that Jadharani could. That's my personal opinion. Okay, that's my personal opinion. Yeah, holy Kiwi, Batman! It's a scam. Shamarani is sick with cancer. Oh, okay. So there you go. All questions will be answered. All questions are answered in due time. So she quit her job, moved her trailer, went into debt, and is begging on the internet because Shamarani was diagnosed with cancer. Well, that makes sense. They make you quit your job to end up with nothing. So you can work for them. They can't get free labor. And I never really thought of it that way until Cult Lady. I recognized all the cultness about it, but I didn't. There's a couple things that I didn't recognize until I, was watching any Cult Lady. One is the free labor. It's all about free labor. Hare Krishna is all about free labor. Prabhupada was all about free labor. Prabhupada was all about distributing his books for free. He wanted his book. He wanted everybody working for him for free. Selling his books, opening his temples, collecting money, doing the puja, everything. Driving him around, flying him around, taking him here, taking him there, cooking his lunch, publishing his books, printing his books, going to the airport, going this, doing this, getting him to this lecture, taking him to this lecture, having him meet with these people and meet with those people, taking him around, buying land, raising money for land so he could build a temple and all of these things. It's all free labor. Shamari doesn't care about anything because it's all karma, it's all Krishna's arrangement, and it's all to benefit her, whatever she can get out of it. What all of these guys are is what they can get. Your Shodanandan, this pod guy, they don't give a fuck. Why aren't these Ritvik, all these scraggly Ritvik guys that are all over the internet yelling and screaming and printing, why are they living in why are they in a temple? I mean, at least Madhu Pandit is. I mean, I'm not giving him credit for anything other than he's living in a temple. He's doing the, Yashodananda is not doing that. Damago, Nisringa, Pod. A lot of these guys, these IRM guys, these Prabhupada, Anuga guys, they don't want to move into a temple and live the life of a temple devotee and do all of that. These people, she is deluded. This woman thinks she's doing the best by having their child be around Vaishnavas like Shamar. What is it? It's insanity. And don't tell me this lady doesn't know what's going on. She can't be hanging around Shamarani knowing her history. If she's a disciple of Shamarani, she's got to know that she was once Jadharani. And if she was Jadharani, then she knows that she did all those paintings and she did all that work for Prabhupada. And then she left Prabhupada to go be with Narayan Maharaj. And Narayan Maharaj reinitiated her and gave her a different name. She got to know that. She's got to know that she was almost beaten to death in New Vrindavan by Kirtananda's goons. If she doesn't know that, what the fuck? I know it, and I'm not even her disciple. You tell me I know more about her guru than she does. There's an insanity. It's a worldwide organization of friggin' mental patients looking for good rice. They're just looking for that good rice. You can't have that good rice. Can you imagine this? I don't even remember who it was that was cooking. Gopal Acharya, some Acharya, right? It was like some Advaita. I wasn't Advaita Acharya, but some Acharya, Bhagavan Acharya, somebody. He's cooking. He's like, I'm going to cook for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. I'm cooking lunch for him. Go get me some good rice. The guy goes out, he gets he goes out, he gets like really good rice. He comes back. Bhagavata doesn't say anything to him. He doesn't say, hey, this rice is too good. No. He just says, wow, I got some good rice. He's really going to be happy now. I got the good rice. I'm going to do that, right? He gives it to Mahaprabhu, comes in, he gives him, and the first thing Mahaprabhu says, Mahaprabhu wore glasses, see, he was like, where'd you get this good rice? Can you imagine that? No good deed goes unpunished, I'm telling you. He said, where'd you get this good rice? And Bhagavad he said, I'm not taking the fall for this. I sent Chota Haridas to go get it rice, and this is what he brought me. Totally just threw him under the tuk-tuk. He threw him under the bus, threw him under the tuk-tuk, and just I don't understand that story. And then Ramananda Roy, he gets away with just rubbing his hands and rubbing all over these little girls. Mahaprabhu's like, yeah, that's my buddy. This guy with the rice, I don't want to see his face or the face of anyone whose face sees his face. Get his face out of here. But Ramananda Roy, his face, the face of that pedophile over there, he's, the fuck? Ancient history. Man. History based on mythology and just made up stories. You believe those stories of Chaitanya when he was a baby and he put the snake and the robber and all of that stuff? Man, you got to be out of your mind. You believe that stuff? There was nobody around writing that stuff. There was nobody making note of that stuff. That stuff did not happen. That stuff did not happen. And if they'll lie about that, and they'll just make shit up to convince a bunch of people that this guy was this nutcase who was dressing up like a gopi and running around chanting and yelling and screaming and running into the river or into the ocean or whatever, to make him out to be some god? I heard Shamarani has to pay $5,000 rent on a Miami mansion ashram. I'm telling you, man, this lady moving her trailer over there to be around this Shamarani, and now I find out that Shamarani got cancer, and I'm not knocking her for that. I mean, I pray she gets better, if you want to call it praying. I hope she gets better. It's just scammers on top of scammers on top of scammers. That is the only thing that Prabhupada taught these people how to do. It's the only thing they know how to do, is to just scam. Talk people into doing something for them for free. Oh, you got a trailer? Oh, I didn't know you had a trailer. You got a trailer? Hey, you know what? You really should move your trailer down here. There's a plot of land, just happens to be a plot of land right down there. Probably be the best thing for your son. Friggin' scammers, man. Shamarani Jadharani was asking for donations to pay her monthly rent. That's why she got this lady down there. You come down here, just move your trailer over there, and you can live right there, and then you can go out and you can collect money to pay my rent. Meanwhile, just put up a GoFund account for your own expenses. You know, I bet this whole thing is all part of the same scam. This Jadharani rent and her trailer rent and 6 months rent and GoFundMe account rent. I'm starting not to believe any of this bullshit. You ask me, sounds like a bunch of bullshit. Sounds like they got a friggin' Breaking Badger thing going on, man. Breaking Badger. Like they're living in Miami like they were living in Badger. A big scam. Who needs a big... Why does she need a big house in Miami? I'm telling you, man, this is a bunch of bullshit. You involved with this is what you're going to be. This is the kind of thing you're going to get wrapped up in. This lady's already living in a moldy-ass trailer without a husband and with a kid. Now, how'd that happen? Can we talk about that? No, let's not talk about that, because I already know what happened. I don't need to talk about that. But anyway, here's this lady living in a trailer with her kid, got no husband because he's off playing Hare Krishna somewhere, or who knows what. Maybe someone knows. But she doesn't have a husband. She got a single, and she had a job. Now she quit her job. What'd she quit her job for? Then she moved this trailer over to be with Jadharani? This is insanity. You can't tell me that it ain't some scam going on. Jadharani's got $5,000 a month rent in a big mansion in Miami. The whole thing sounds like another friggin' scam. It is, and they just bring them in and they just mush their brains right up. My brain was mushed up. I went to India and I had a bunch of people say, hey, because I was doing video and I was like into computers and video back when that was, and I had this guy, Bhaktisiddhanta Das, in Vrindavan. He wanted me to move into his ashram. You can come in here, you can do video for me. I want to start a video thing. And I got a computer. He showed me this computer, and it was like, they didn't have any internet or anything in Vrindavan in 1996. 1996, 97, I didn't know internet there, but he had a computer. And he was like, I want to do this thing. I wanted to do video, and I want to... And he was like, you can come live here. And then this other, I forget who it was, like, you could come stay here. We'll get you a visa and you can come stay at this ashram. And we'll get you a religion visa or something. So I could do free work. So I could do free work for them. And I was thinking about doing it. I was like, that sounds like a good idea. I could come move here to India, and I could just live in this. I didn't want to live in an ashram. I didn't want to live in a temple like that. But he was like, you can just live here for free, and you can, do whatever. I didn't want to live in no temple. I didn't want no temple life. I already knew. I was already having a hard time being a devotee and working a job and trying to live in the community, whatever I was doing. It wasn't go to India and live in but they want that free labor. They want you to work. They want you to distribute books or do this, do that, do something for them. Whether it's Bhaktisiddhanta Das or Jadharani or Shamarani or Yashodanandan or Hugh Turvey or Brian Tibbetts or Radhanath Swami, Dickie Slavin or Devamrita, they want you to do something for them for free. if you have to get a GoFund, you hit rock bottom in life, which should be a wake-up call that she's in the wrong path. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. You know, let's read that all together. I want everybody to read that together. Everybody should read that together. If you have to get a GoFundMe account, you hit rock bottom in life, which should be a wake-up call that she's in the wrong path. Well, see, they brainwashed her into thinking that hardships are good. Excuse me. Hardships are good, that she should welcome this karma. Sounds like a documentary on Breaking Badger. It needs to be done exposing the scammers. I know. It should be. If I would do it. I would. If I was in LA, I would do Breaking Badger. I would go up there and do a documentary on Breaking Badger. That's what it is, right? I mean, that's what it is. That's what they're doing up there. Dial up hot lips. Dial up hot lips is what it is. The hot lips. Speaking of hot lips, so now it's time to get to this pod guy, and the reason why there's a couple of reasons why I sometimes focus on this guy. One is even though he's not a guru, he's not a GBC, he's not he's not an ISKCON leader. He is a leader he is a leader of ISKCON in a way, not in a GBC way, but he is a leader of this train of thought, and he definitely poses himself as the gatekeeper for the Ritvik and ISKCON movement. He decides who is good in ISKCON and who's bad in ISKCON. He also decides who's a good Ritvik and who's a bad Ritvik. So being a Ritvik is not good enough. You have to be approved by this pod guy. And being in ISKCON isn't necessarily bad, because you can be a pod-approved guy and be in ISKCON, and he'll say, I have connections in ISKCON, my person in ISKCON, my person at this temple has told me this, or this person is good, he's on our side, but he's in ISKCON. You know, he makes these exceptions. So he definitely positions himself as a leader of ISKCON, whether he recognizes it or not, and whether it's acknowledged or not. He definitely is, and he's also very damaging, and he's very dangerous, because he wants to shift the blame of all of this, of everything. He wants to shift the blame for everything off of Prabhupada and put it onto these individuals, whichever individual he chooses. Whoever he chooses it to be. It could be Radhanath Swami, or it can be Jayapataka Swami. Next week it'll be this guru and that guru. And these guys, they deserve it. He's not wrong. And a lot of times he's not wrong when he is pointing out what's bad about ISKCON and these gurus. He's not wrong. What he's wrong about is everything else that he talks about. He's wrong about everything else. He's also wrong about taking the blame off of Prabhupada and putting it on to these guys, whoever it is he wants to. Because by shifting the blame from, you can't shift the blame. As I've shown, everything disgusting and horrible in this cult is not coming from these guys, these 11 guys, or these 70 guys, or these 120 guys, or whoever it is he decides it is that's bad. It's coming from Prabhupada's books. Everything disgusting and wrong that I've shown on all of my videos is coming from Prabhupada's books. I can pull up the database and show you all the disgusting things that he says about Jews and how he glorifies Hitler. You can't blame that on some crazy devotee in Utah somewhere, or some crazy devotee in Germany somewhere, or some crazy devotee in the UK somewhere, or say, hey, there's a group of Hare Krishnas that glorify Hitler. No. Prabhupada glorifies Hitler. Prabhupada says that Hitler was the good guy. Prabhupada says that Hitler was the gentleman. Prabhupada is the one who says that that Hitler did not kill millions of Jews in the gas chambers. Prabhupada says that that was propaganda, and that he only killed a few thousand Jews that were in detainment, that were in jail. Prabhupada lies. Prabhupada just out and out lies. I mean, I don't know what else you can call that. But that's what Prabhupada puts in his books. So when he's on his webpage talking about, hey, there's these crazy Hare Krishnas that glorify Hitler. Well, Prabhupada is the crazy Hare Krishna that's glorifying Hitler. He's the original glorifying Hitler guy. And see, and that's why it's dangerous for him to just try to shift it away and say, well, Prabhupada didn't glorify Hitler. Well, he knows well that he did. He better. I know, and I've shown you, and I've shown it in the database where he does it. I've made multiple videos showing where Prabhupada, the things that Prabhupada says about Hitler. So when this pod guy goes online and starts criticizing these devotees that are glorifying Hitler and white supremacy, well, Prabhupada is the one who taught him that. And I'm not trying to say that it's not Prabhupada. It is Prabhupada. And don't go on there and start talking about how you're protecting children and how you sued ISKCON and you did this and you didn't do. First of all, you didn't do anything. But don't talk about how you're protecting children while you're distributing Prabhupada's books that talk about child marriage. Child marriage does not protect one single child. This pedophilia and this child marriage, you want to talk about protecting children, why don't you speak out about that? Speak out against it. Say, I'm here to protect children and child marriage is wrong. I'm here to protect women. And saying that women like to be raped and women have small brains and are less intelligent is wrong. Say that. Come out and say that. Now, he can't do that because he's lying and dishonest. He's no different than Gorahari, Dickie Slavin, Jai Potato Head, all of these guys. He's no different. This guy's no different. He might even be worse. He might even be worse. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why he might even be worse. Because a lot of you people out there that are in this cult, that are having issues with this cult, you're hearing about this stuff. You're hearing about child abuse. You're hearing about gurus falling down. You're hearing about these all kinds of stuff. And then you find this guy. And this guy starts preaching about how, yeah, it's these gurus. It's not Prabhupada. Read Prabhupada's original books and forget about these gurus. And just follow Prabhupada and read Prabhupada's books. And go to Madhu Pandit's temple where Tattva Darshan is. We don't want to talk about what Tattva Darshan did, but go to Madhu Pandit. You know, this is what this guy's preaching. He's still preaching the same brainwashing, the same manipulation, the same child marriage, the same pedophilia, the same Ramananda Roy, the same good rice, the same ideas that you can just kill yourself if you commit enough. If you commit so many offenses, you might as well just go kill yourself. And if you bake some good rice from the old Madhavi Devi, hell, killing yourself is going to make Chaitanya smile. So you might as well go do that. Jagjivan, Janardana, all you grown kids that went through that were tortured in the Gurukul, if you can't deal with it and you feel depressed and everything, just suicide. You find this guy? You want to leave this cult because you think there's something wrong with it, and then you find this guy, and this guy convinces you that no, everything wrong is because of something else than what it really is. All that's doing is prolonging your suffering. It prolonged my suffering by like 10 years. I was ready to get out of this shit, and I found these Ritviks. My daughter had been molested. I was having doubts about demon heads eating the moon landing. I'd been to India a bunch of times. Then I meet Yashodanandan, and this Puranjana guy, and Yashodanandan's like, oh, you gotta read this pod guy. At the time, it was all on newsletter. It was an email. He didn't have a web page. It was all sent out by email. And now I'm getting these emails, and he's preaching about these gurus and this and that and the Ritvik and poison and all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. It explains like how this cult is so fucked up. And Prabhupada it's not Prabhupada's fault. I bought into that whole Ritvik crap. Otherwise, I probably, another couple of years, I would have probably been like, I don't know. It's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say. But what happened was, I found the Ritviks. And I was like, okay, that Ritvik goes along with how I feel. That these gurus can't possibly be. And Ritvik answered all of my questions. It made everything. Ritvik tried to make sense of all of that. How the GBC was wrong. How these gurus were wrong. And only Prabhupada, and only Prabhupada, and only Prabhupada, and only Prabhupada, and only Prabhupada. A bunch of bullshit. Because it took me another 8 or 10 years to realize that the Ritviks were full of shit because it's all coming from I realized it's all coming from Prabhupada. You Ritviks are no different. And why is that? Because you're all coming from Prabhupada. Prabhupada is the problem, not Ritvik or non-Ritvik or GBC or this whatever guru, that guru. Prabhupada is the problem. I had to put all the dots together myself. And that's why this guy is so dangerous. He's keeping people in. People that are having problems, people that are understanding that there's issues with ISKCON. And then along comes this guy. And he just wants to frig everything up. So he says he's talking about this Namaras and Hare Prasad. He's going to criticize this Hare Prasad guy for going on this Namaras project, just like I do. I criticize this Namaras podcast because it's full of shit. And he's saying, and this pod guy's saying the same thing. He's saying, and I've done videos about this Namara, but the difference between me and Pod is I actually go on and make the video and I show my face and I talk about it. He won't do that. So he says here, and again, like I said, a lot of this stuff I agree. A lot of this stuff makes sense. He says, rather amazing that the GBC and their guys like this Hari Prasad fellow since 1978 have been ordering ISKCON's 5-year-old children to worship their bogus messiahs, project's members, such as homosexuals, pedophiles, drug addicts, criminals, porno swamis, or those voted into that project as the children's eternal links to God. Okay, first of all, you notice how he puts homosexuals in that list of pedophiles, drug addicts, criminals, and porno swamis. He thinks homosexuals are just as evil as a pedophile or a drug addict or other criminals, just for being homosexuals. And where's that coming from? That's coming from Prabhupada. So he says, but he's right as far as they do want these little kids to worship these bogus gurus. He's right about that. But where's that coming from? That's coming from Prabhupada. This whole movement is Prabhupada's movement. And meanwhile, he's got Tat Vadarshan over at Madhu Pandit's temple. The little kids are over there, and what are they doing when they're over there and they see Tat Vadarshan and they're glorifying these guys? Why does Madhu Pandit have Tat Vadarshan at his temple? And why is this pod guy promoting Madhu Pandit's temple when he's got Tat Vadarshan over there? What sense does that make? Then he goes on and he says, when these children were being starved, beaten, molested, and treated very badly, the argument started to surface. These ISKCON victims made bad choices for gurus. So he agrees. He agrees with me when I say that these children were starved, they were beaten, they were molested, they were treated horrible, they were tortured. He agrees with me. He's saying the same thing I'm saying. He just wants to blame somebody else. Who created these schools? Who put these guys in the school? Who thought he was qualified to open up a school for little kids and put these freaks in there? Did he care that they were teachers or not? No, he didn't give a fuck. He thought that that these magic words and the shaved head and that was enough, that he could just and turn these guys into holy men, and he was going to have a school full of holy men teaching these little kids, all because he could it's fucking insanity. Justice for little girls. And little boys, and everybody, justice for everybody, but yeah, little girls. Justice for little girls, justice for people that can't stand up and demand justice for themselves. Definitely justice for them. Justice for those that can't speak up for themselves. Like little girls, like little boys. All these little boys that were tortured and abused. Like Kirtanananda and Bhavananda and all these guys. And Yashodanandan and Danudar. That devotee doesn't have his teeth, doesn't have any teeth. Goddamn, I know. And this guy is not helping. This pod guy is not helping. He's part of it. He's part of it. You know what he's like? It's like good cop, bad cop. It's like he's the good cop. He's pretending to be the good cop. But he's really just the bad, he's just the other guy. He's the bad cop's partner. You know, good cop. My partner's the bad cop. He's the one that's yelling and screaming. I'm the nice guy. I'll get you the water. I'll bring you some water. You want some water? Hey, stop yelling, okay? Just leave him alone. Let me talk to him for a minute. See, I'm the nice cop. He's the bad cop. So the Ritviks are like, hey, we're the good cops, and they're the bad cops. We blame everything on the bad cops. So he agrees. He agrees with me, and he says, and then he goes on. He says the same thing I say. He says, or worse, the victims just got their karma. How do they get their karma when they're friggin' demigods coming from another planet? Demigods coming down from the spiritual, from the heavenly planets, coming down, taking birth in Lord Chaitanya's movement, in Prabhupada's movement. How do they have karma that needs to be burned off, especially karma that's so bad that they need to be tortured and sexually abused, mistreated, teeth knocked out? I mean, what the hell did he do? He deserved to have his teeth knocked out. He was a little kid. What did he do? He didn't want to chant. He talked back. He talked back, so you threw him on the floor and knocked his teeth out? What the fuck did he do? This little kid. You couldn't handle it as a grown man. You're a grown man. And this little kid talks back or does something, doesn't want to, maybe uses a bad word or something. I don't know what he did. So you pick him up and you throw him against the floor. You throw him on the floor and knock his teeth out. And you don't want to call yourself a holy man? You call yourself a holy man? You're going to sit there and ask Prabhupada, can we beat this kid? He's really unruly. Can we beat him? We really want to beat him. You ask Prabhupada like 4 times. Yeah, but can we beat him though? I mean, yeah, I know you said that, but can we beat him? And then when Prabhupada says, yeah, you can beat him, then they're like, well, where should we beat him? Should we beat him here? Should we beat him there? Let's beat him in front of all the other kids so all the kids get traumatized and they will always be good. Because they'll know that this is going to happen. And this is fucking disgusting. This is sinister. These are holy men. These are sannyasis. Why don't you just beat them with your tridanda? Why don't you just unwrap your tridanda and just whack them with your tridanda? How's that? That's what you really want to do. Prabhupada said, go ahead, beat him. And they're like, oh yeah, okay. Well, should we beat him here? Or let's wait. Should we shoot him now or should we wait till you take him home? No, let's just shoot him now. Shoot me now. What the fuck? These are grown men talking about beating a little kid in front of other little kids so they can humiliate this kid for life, scar the other kids for life, traumatize everybody, and here we are talking about it 60 years later. This ancient spiritual tradition, this Vedic culture that says, yeah, just take the kid out and just beat the hell out of him. Because, they didn't say, can we spank him? They didn't say, can we punish him? They said, can we beat him? So they had something in mind when they say, can we beat him? Because my mother and father never told me, I'm going to beat you. My mother told me, I'll spank you. If you do that, I'll spank you. My dad told me, I will spank you with this belt. He didn't say, I'll beat you with this belt. He said, I'll spank you with this belt. If you don't shut up, I'll take off my belt and I'll spank you. Now, my dad was from 1927, okay? He was born in 1927. But that was my dad. But he never said, I'll beat you. I'll beat the living hell out of you. I'll beat the daylights out of you. My mother never said that. My father never said that. But here these guys are asking Prabhupada, can we beat this kid? They're all part of the same criminal organization. It's disgusting. Prabhupada is responsible and liable for all the crimes in this cult because of the things he taught. Absolutely. And he's still teaching them in his books. He says, by hook or by crook, make them take a book. he did not turn away drug money, all the money that Yashodanandan and Guru Kripa scammed and strong-armed and stole. He didn't say I don't want that. He never said that. He said this is Krishna's money. Who is this? They won't even help him with his dentures, even though he has been collecting money for the temple for years. Who has got no chompers and he needs some who's that? I missed that one. I missed who. You didn't say who that was. No health insurance for those who worked in these temples. No, nothing. They don't get shit. They don't get nothing. Because it's just like, depend on Krishna. Depend on Krishna. Lodging and food is enough to pay their servant. None of the elderly who did service at the temples have health insurance or a solid place to stay. No. They got them working. It's like Scientology. They got them working. I remember this Gaura Bhavana or Krishna Bhavana. Gaura Bhavana, I think his name was. And they had him working like security at the restaurant. He sat in front of the restaurant. He was like telling the kids, hey, don't play over there. Get out of the tree. Be quiet. Go play somewhere else. That was his job. Guy was like 80 years old. Like 60, 70 years old. He should have been retired. No, he's friggin' working for free at the temple. He had a job. He was a security. He was like, the guy was 80 years old, but he was like a security guard. He sat in a chair and he told the kids to shut up and get out of here. That was his job. You know, and so here's some more of what this pod guy has to say. He says he's talking about they want to bring people together. He's saying, okay, homosexuals, pedophiles, drunks, drug addicts, oral sex with taxi drivers, oral sex with boys, porno swamis, assorted deviants. Okay, as Jayadwait to summarize, the GBCs elicit sex with men, women, and children gurus. So he agrees with me. He agrees with me that these are the gurus that they have in this movement. This is a guy that's in ISKCON. He's currently a ISKCON. He was initiated into ISKCON by His Divine Grace. He's a Prabhupada disciple. He reads Prabhupada's books. He promotes this Ritvik philosophy. Ritviks are part of ISKCON. The Supreme Court of India said Ritviks are part of ISKCON. This guy's part of ISKCON. He's just in the Ritvik faction. And he agrees with what I am saying. These are homosexual, pedophiles, drunks, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong for being homosexual, but I'm just saying they preach against it. Pedophiles, drunks, drug addicts, oral sex with taxi drivers. You know, oral sex with taxi drivers is not in and of itself. I don't know. Are they on duty? I don't know. Oral sex with boys, porno swamis, and assorted deviants. You get the idea. These are the gurus of the GBC. All these type of people are what makes up their gurus. And the ones that aren't doing this pal around with the ones that are. So even ISKCON, even this guy in ISKCON agrees and says that this is what's going on. He says, like I just said, he goes on and he agrees with me. He says, the next group we get to select from are the founding fathers, the enablers, the promoters, the reinstators, the cheerleaders, the position paper writers of these pedophile gurus from the previous group. So even if the guru is not a pedophile, deviant, whatever, he's still going along with the idea that these guys can go move to Juhu Beach, they can go move to Mayapur, get a guest house. Nobody's standing up and saying, "Hey, this is wrong." Where are the devotees going up and going, "Hey, we don't like Rameshwar being here. We don't like Bhavananda being here. We don't want these guys being here." Where these guys go on tour. The one guy went on tour around North America. The one guy's giving lectures in Houston. The one guy's giving lectures in Australia. These are known deviant gurus that the GBC has said, "Hey, these guys have been accused of stuff. We don't do anything about it, but they have been accused of stuff. So, these guys shouldn't be giving lectures, and they shouldn't be doing, they shouldn't be accepting worship." And they don't care. They're like, "Oh, come to my temple and you can lecture here. Come to my temple and you can lecture there." They honestly don't care. Lokanath Swami. Everyone knows that he molested this girl, and evidently there was more than one. I don't even know anything about the multiple things. I know about the one. But evidently there was more than one. These guys know it, and they still all pal around with him. Like he didn't do anything. And he agrees with me. He agrees with me again. He says right here. Someone tried to tell me Radhanath should not be included in any of this because he has reformed and rectified. He says, sorry, he is the co-founder father of the New Vrindavan Auschwitz for Kids project, which was condemned by the Dallas courts as the worst case of child abuse seen in this court. Now, I don't know if what he's saying about the Dallas saying that. I don't know if that's true. But, and then he says he helped bury Kirtanananda in a samadhi in Vrindavan. He says same things with Lokanath Swami. Yes, he's a pervert, but he has apologized and rectified. He promised the victim he would not hold a post, but he still does. Okay, he's a fraud, liar. He agrees with me that these guys are frauds and liars, scammers and pedophiles. He agrees with me 100%. The difference between me and him is I go on live on the internet and I sit here and I tell you all that these guys are scammers and liars, deviants, perverts, pedophiles, and that it's all coming from Prabhupada and Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada's teachings. Prabhupada, who created Kirtanananda? Who created Kirtanananda and sent him off to create New Vrindavan? Who created this whole Gurukula school? Who created this whole thing? Who created Kirtanananda? Who created Jayatirtha? Who created Tamal Krishna? Who created Rameshwar? Who taught them how to walk and talk and eat and shit and wipe their ass with their hand? Who taught them all of that stuff? And how to be racist and sexist? And who preached to them about gopis and 11-year-old girls and 12-year-old girls and marriage? And who told him he was 22 and he had an 11-year-old wife? Who did that? And who put child marriage in his Bhagavatam saying prepubescent girls must be married? 12-year-old girls must be married. Who did all that? Was that Kirtanananda? Was that Jayatirtha? Was that Tamal? No, that was Prabhupada. Who said, yeah, go ahead, beat that kid. Go ahead and beat him. Who did that? Who said women are less intelligent, like to be raped, have small brains? Who did that? Who said that? Rajendra Rabarida, who donated his underage son to Narayan Maharaj back in 2009, he lost his teeth. He lost his teeth and he's got no insurance. Oh, it's disgusting. Hey, Afila, good to see you, man. I'm glad you're here. If anybody wants any more cult information about Scientology and cults, check out Afila's channel. Definitely go check her out and subscribe. This is a witch hunt. Get ready, fanatical trash. If they don't care about your teeth. They don't care about your health. They don't care about your well-being. They don't care about your security. The LA Temple, when Subhuti was getting his van towed away off of temple property, the temple authorities allowed the LAPD to come and tow his van away. And they didn't care that he had nowhere to live. They didn't care he had nowhere to go. They didn't care that he'd lived there for 20-something years. They didn't care that he was a temple devotee and that he didn't have a job. He was 100 cops, and the cops shot him. How crazy you got to be to do that? That's 4 people that I knew, and I knew Subhuti. He was like a hermit. He was a loner guy. But I met him a couple times, and he put air in my bicycle tire. He was a nice guy. He lived in a van. He lived in like one of these big delivery trucks from the 50s, like a big laundry delivery truck, right on the LA Temple property. And so I had a flat tire one day, and then somebody said, "Hey, well, Subhuti's got a thing." And I went and I was like, "Hey," knocked on his thing. And he opened the door and he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, I got a flat tire. Can you put air in my tire?" He was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Give me a second." And he came out and he put air in my tire. And I was like, "Hey, man, thanks a lot." And he was like, "Hey, no problem. See you around." And that was my interaction with Subhuti. And a couple years later, guy's dead. A couple years later, this guy's dead. I didn't show you what a nut he was. They're all nuts. They're all nuts, including this guy, including this pod guy. So I'm just gonna randomly go through. This is kind of like Wheel of Idiot. I'm just gonna scroll through this guy's page. Oh, let's look at this. This is interesting. This is something for the kids. Oh, it's not playing. It's a very strange, not working. Okay. Well, I guess it's having problems connecting. It's a very strange Nishringadev video. It's very violent and creepy. Very violent and creepy. But it's a cartoon, so it's good for the kids. It's good for the kids to see that stuff. So this guy goes on, and he's got a lot of things to say. I wanted to show some of the things that he has to say about the kids. Okay, so here he says, so here he says, Jayapataka, who is a GBC guru, one of the leaders of the movement, he says, had us banned, beaten, sued, and killed. So all of that. He had us. I don't know who he means when he says us, because I don't I don't know what he means when he says us, because obviously he was not killed. So he wasn't killed, and he wasn't sued, and he wasn't beaten, but he was banned. But he says us, and so I know there were people that were banned, beaten, sued, and I know that there were a few that were killed. But I don't know why he's saying us. If he was an honest person, and he wanted to tell the story honestly and not be deceitful or dishonest, he would just say, Jayapataka had me banned, and he's had other people beaten, sued, and killed. But he wants to make it. He's not content with saying that. He wants to. First of all, he wants you to think that there's many of him, like he's multiple people. I guess he's got a multiple personality disorder where he thinks he's many people instead of just one guy. He does have followers, which is like saying me sitting here talking about, well, us. When I was Hare Krishna, they did this to us. They kicked us out of the LA. Who's us? Not the people in my chat, not my followers, not the people that are watching my videos, not my viewers or subscribers. We don't know who those people are. But he wants to make it like he's us. Jayapataka had us banned. Why can he not just be honest and just say what happened? And in this, and so in that same. Here he says, so here's another example of his delusion. He says, yeah, the GBC people complained to me that I cost them $100 million in legal fees. He didn't have anything to do with their lawsuit, other than maybe I don't know, maybe he gave a deposition about something. That's about it. So he does keep up on all of the child. He does keep up on a lot of the child abuse and a lot of the criminal behavior of this cult. I do give him credit for that. But if your whole, let me get out of here. If your whole, if you really want to protect children and you really want to do what this guy's claiming he wants to do, you really have to recognize the fact that you're in a cult. If you really want to save the children that are in the cult, and you don't recognize that you're in a cult, and you by extension are harming these same children that you claim to be protecting, you're insane. You're delusional. You're harming these children you claim to be protecting, that you care so much about. Just like this lady is putting her child, she's moving her trailer to Florida so her son can be closer to the Shamarani character. She quit her job, moved her moldy-ass trailer across the state so she could go be with the Shamarani for her son, for his well-being. You think that's putting him in poverty? Now you got to go on the GoFundMe account and beg strangers for money to help feed your son, and you think you're doing something for him? You think this is the best thing for him? You have the nerve to sit there and go, this is the best thing that I can do for my son, is put myself in debt, quit my job, move across the state, and beg for money for my kid. How friggin' delusional do you have to be to think that putting your kid through all of that is somehow helping him and giving him a spiritual life or keeping him from taking birth again? I mean, it is absolute insanity. She needed to just stay where she was, stay at her job, and provide for her kid. She ain't doing nothing. She didn't do anything for her kid. She wasn't doing it. That's bullshit. I don't believe her for any more than I believe this guy. He's talking about how he protects the kids and I sued them for the kids and the kids. He ain't doing shit for the kids if you're promoting child marriage. You ain't doing nothing for anybody. If you're promoting child marriage and women have small brains and women are 9 times lustier than men and all of this bullshit, you're not protecting no one. You're not saving anyone. You're doing harm. You're harming these women. You're harming these children. You're harming everybody. And you're not smart enough to see it, and you're not smart enough to get out. You're not fooling anybody. You're fooling yourself. You're a dangerous, sick person. You're a dangerous, sick person. If you can see all of this danger and destruction, all the harm that this cult does, and the reason why, and all of this stuff, but you can't connect Prabhupada to it because you're a fucking brainwashed friggin' cult follower. You can't ever look at Prabhupada and say, well, he's the problem. You just can't. Just can't do it. Stockholm Syndrome, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The guy knows more about the bullshit in this cult than I do. You can't get out of it. You can't get out of it. You're stuck. You're stuck. Yeah, no, hey, you're doing this. You're doing it longer than me. You know, what I was going to say earlier was, you know, you got these cult experts, right? You got this Stephen Hassan guy, who he's pretty good, but you know, I don't know. He kind of, I always thought there was something wrong with him, but he kind of apologizes for a few of these cults. But anyway, he was a Moonie, and he became a cult expert. And he went to college, you know, he got a degree. You know, somehow, you know, he had the money to go to college and get a degree in cult studies, religion, whatever, psychology, whatever it is that you get a degree in. Knitting cult lady, same thing. She was in the Children of God. She became a cult expert. She went to school and got a doctorate or a PhD in cult study, psychology, whatever it is that you study, psychology, whatever it is, sociology, whatever it is that you study to understand cults and human behavior and the mind and what all that. She's written books. There's a few other cult experts that were in cults. Who better to be a cult expert than someone who's actually experienced the effects, the trauma, the manipulation, the gaslighting, than someone who's been in it. Someone who recognized it, can see it now, can understand it. I lived it. We lived it. We lived through it. Called a cult expert who's ex-Scientologist. Because they went through it. They went through it, and then they went on to study it. Me, on the other hand, I don't have a degree in anything. I just have experience. I just have my experience, and I've studied other cult experts, and I know that my thinking mirrors other cult experts in almost every way. In almost every way. In fact, I came to my own conclusions about Hare Krishna and cults before I even really started watching Knitting Cult Lady and a couple others. And I realized once I did start watching her, I realized that she was agreeing with me. I wasn't agreeing with her. She was agreeing with me. I had already made my mind up. I'd made my hypothesis and come to my conclusions. And she was validating mine. She was agreeing with me. So in that way, I do feel as though I am uniquely qualified to be a cult expert and talk about the Hare Krishna cult. I can't talk about Scientology. I can't talk about Children of God. I can't talk about any other cults. But I don't really need to know. I can, as far as that they're cults. But I don't. I didn't live through that, so I don't. That's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is living through this cult. So here we go. I want to get back to this pod guy and how some of the things that he has to say. Like this, he says. So down here, actually, this is Nrsinga. Nrsinga was one that was in my group. He was one of the board of directors of the Hare Krishna Society that I was the secretary of. So this guy, he's another one of these guys who doesn't want to join a temple, even though he could. He wants to do his own thing and then criticize and write papers and tell everybody else what they should do. But he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to actually follow it. He just wants to preach it. So he says here. They foolishly say Ritvik philosophy is offensive, and they accuse faithful devotees of being narrow-minded and sectarian. He says, note, the term Ritvik was instructed by Srila Prabhupada. It is a bona fide Vedic term mentioned many times in Bhagavatam and throughout the Vedas. Well, it's mentioned. It's not mentioned many times in the Bhagavatam and throughout the Vedas. That's not really true. It's mentioned. It's a word. It's a word that exists, and it's mentioned. But Prabhupada never gave any instructions as far as his movement would be run by Ritviks when he departed. In fact, he said the opposite. He said, "One day you'll all be gurus," and that's my wish. That's my desire. So you take it for what you want. So here, this pod guy, he promotes these Ritviks. He wants everyone to be Ritviks and follow Prabhupada, which means following the pedophilia, the child marriage, all the bullshit in his books. The women are less intelligent. Blacks belong in the jungles. Jews were the problem in World War II. Hitler was the good guy. I mean, basically, if you're saying Hitler's a good guy, what does that make you? What does that make you if you're agreeing with Hitler? What does that make you? What does that make Prabhupada? If Prabhupada is on the side of Hitler, what does that make Prabhupada? I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm going to leave you with that. There's a lot more to go on about with Pod, and I will continue with him because there's so much more to go over with him. Here, as I'm going to show you here, we can leave on this one. You can see here he's promoting Madhu Pandit. He's got a video by Madhu Pandit. Madhu Pandit promotes Tattva Darshan. Tattva Darshan was jailed in Cambodia and for debauchery with an underage girl. He's been accused many times. He was kicked out of ISKCON for accusations of child abuse. And he's found refuge at Madhu Pandit's temple. Madhu Pandit says, you know what? I don't care that all that stuff's happened. You're welcome to come here. You're not welcome in ISKCON, but I'll take you. I'll take you. And I know we preach against this stuff, and Pod preaches against this stuff. And he says how they have deviants and homosexuals and drug addicts and all this stuff. And lo and behold, who can we find at Madhu Pandit's temple giving lectures and making videos and being worshipped like he's a holy man? None other than Tattva Darshan himself. So you've got Pod right here promoting, and so we'll get back to more Pod. But right now, I think we've gone. Have I gone overtime already? Just about. So let me get back over here. So that's our Pod guy. I wanted to show on the new people out there, any of the new people out there that are watching, that even people in ISKCON, like this Pod guy, agree with me. They agree with the things that I say about these gurus. They agree with the things that I say about these teachings. They agree with the things. The only thing they don't agree with is that Prabhupada is the problem. I say Prabhupada is the problem, and I've shown where Prabhupada is the problem. They want to mislead people and say that these gurus are the problem. These gurus are the problem. Definitely, they are the problem. The original problem is Prabhupada. So you can't sidestep that. There's no way to sidestep that. So hey, listen, everybody, I want to thank you all for joining in today, for watching, for commenting. Please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate all the support, everybody. If you could share these videos, that'd be great. I really want to get the word out so we can warn more and more people. I keep seeing more and more things online about people who have joined, their loved ones have joined, their friends have joined, somebody they know has joined, and man, it gets me every time. And I should be immune to it now because I know it's happening all over the world. But when I see it, when I see somebody's own words talking about what this cult does, it just really gets me. So I want to thank you all for your supporting this channel, supporting my videos. Like, share, and subscribing. Please, everybody have a great day, great morning, great afternoon, great evening, wherever you are. Have some great luck. And if this is your first time watching, you can now, this is part of the show where you get to see me when I was once a Hare Krishna, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Thanks, everybody.